to unpack the incredible events in Seville, to unpack the heaviest defeat since Matthias Sindelar back in 1931, the Paperman, as he was known. Who better than Derek Ray? Derek, welcome aboard. I'm stunned. I don't want to engage in too much schadenfreude, as I said, but you might hear me say that word again. So I'm just going to hand the floor over to you. We saw this coming in the sense that they were bad, but nobody could have imagined this.
Nobody could have imagined this sort of debacle, and it was that, Gab. I mean, this, from a German point of view, was shockingly bad. And I think the debate has been there for a while with regard to this German national team, with regard to the coach, Jogi Löw. Where exactly are they? Well, we found out. We found out in this game in Seville that Germany are nowhere at the moment when it comes to teams that can contend at a major international tournament, and the Euros coming up next year. This was just embarrassing on all levels, and I think what was most stunning was the passive approach by Germany from the start. Jogi Löw said he thought they abandoned their plan after conceding the first goal, the Morata header. I don't think they abandoned the plan at that point. I didn't really see much of a plan from the very start. And I think it was very noticeable during the game that the communication that we heard on the microphones was all in Spanish. We heard the Spanish players communicate with each other. We didn't hear the German players do that. And this will go down historically as they say in German, a Tiefpunkt, a low point. And there have been a few down the years. You think back to Iceland in 2003 when they drew with that Icelandic side under Rudi Völler, and he really got into arguments with TV and with media. But, I mean, that was against a modest side. They drew with them. This was against a good team, somebody Germany should be able to measure themselves against, and they simply couldn't. We're going to be hearing about this defeat, unfortunately, for years to come.
Jules?
I mean, he's been there 14 years now. This is such a long time. Even for a national team head coach, this is such a long time. I think he should have gone after the World Cup 2018, where it was a disaster as well, to be fair. He's got a contract until 2022, Derek. Do you think there's a way where he can see out this contract, or do you think it could be out before, for example, if they don't have a good Euros?
I would be very doubtful, Jules, that we will see Jogi Löw fulfill his entire contract. I think at the moment we're looking at exactly when the exit point will be. And it's interesting, people who don't follow German football a lot sort of assumed when I was talking to them after the game the other night that it would happen now, that in any other football country it would sort of happen after a 6-0 defeat, an ignominious defeat like that. Then there's no way back. But this is Germany, and they tend not to do things this way. They've never really had to deal with a situation like this before, just a few months before a big tournament. And I think it's a matter of when you've always got to ask yourself the question, if you're going to make a change like this, when do you make the change with a replacement being available in mind? And at the moment, the ideal candidate, is there an ideal candidate? If there were, that ideal candidate is not around at the moment to be able to make that change. And in any case, as I said, I don't think it's the German way to just bring somebody in and then sort of see what happens. There'll be some thought behind the overall. I think that my prediction would be that Germany are not going to win the Euros next year. They are a long way away from that. Jogi Löw will probably see it through until then, but I would have my doubts as to whether he would see out the last year of his contract.
Well, Thomas Tuchel will be free in the summer, most likely. And, of course, that's before you get into those Klopp-Nagelsmann fantasies. Look, there's an excellent piece, an excellent column up on the website on this very issue by me, funnily enough. Look, on the flip side, when the Euros roll around, you still have Sané, Gnabry, Werner up front. There's a lot of pace, a lot of goals up there. You'll have Kimmich back. You'll have Havertz back. You have got Goretzka in there. They are the treble winners. Even in the wide positions, you've got Gosens, whatever. If you allow, if he goes back on his famous decision to turf out Muller, Hummels, and Boateng, all of a sudden, there's no reason they can't go and win it, as bad as they've been. It's not unthinkable. Should he do that? Should he invite the prodigal son, not even the prodigal sons, the people he kicked out, should he invite them back in?
100%. I think that there's no reason why he shouldn't have Hummels, Boateng and Muller in a team that has a lot of younger players. And, you know, you mentioned, Gab, talented players, certainly, but the balance is wrong. And there's not the right hierarchy within that team. Now, you only need to look at Mats Hummels and what he does at Borussia Dortmund week in, week out to know that there is not only a really good defender, somebody who can contribute in many different ways as a defender, but also a leader. And, you know, similar for Boateng and Thomas Muller, of course, as well. Now, you could say Germany are better off higher up the pitch, but, I mean, wouldn't you want somebody like Thomas Muller in a dressing room like that does have a lot of these younger players? So I think absolutely. But, of course, Jogi Löw has more or less said, and he said it a long time ago, that this is his decision. He stands by it. And I'm not convinced he's the kind of person who is going to suddenly change it before a big tournament. I always think it takes an intelligent person to be able to say, I was wrong. I got this wrong, and now I'm going to put it right. And it's something he could do, and it would be a short-term fix. And there are those who will say, well, this is not what the German team is trying to do at the moment. They're trying to develop younger players for the long haul, and that would stall that development if you bring in these oldies, if you like. But I mean, every national team needs this balance, and there's nothing wrong with bringing quality players back in, even though they might be in their early 30s.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.